The courthouse steps seemed to stretch forever under Marcus Ramirez's feet. The December wind bit through his wool coat, but the chill he felt had nothing to do with the temperature. 12 years of denial were about to come to an end. Elena. Rodriguez stood beside him, her attorney's briefcase clutched tightly, her posture rigid with a combination of anger and something else, something that looked remarkably like fear. "This changes nothing," she muttered, more to herself than to Marcus. The paternity case had been dragging through the legal system for months, a carefully choreographed dance of accusations, DNA tests, and mounting legal fees. Marcus had been certain, absolutely certain, that he couldn't be the father. One night, one mistake 12 years ago. He remembered that night with painful clarity. A work conference in Miami, too much tequila. Elena, then a junior marketing associate at his firm, a momentary weakness that he'd spent years trying to forget. "Mr. Ramirez?" The court clerk's voice cut through his memories. "The judge is ready." The courtroom felt smaller than Marcus remembered from previous hearings. He'd spent years fighting this claim, convinced that Elena was trying to extort money from him. A successful tech executive doesn't get trapped by a one-night stand, he'd told himself repeatedly. But the DNA test had changed everything. Sofia Rodriguez, the girl at the center of this legal battle, sat between her mother and her grandmother. 12 years old, with eyes that seemed too old for her age. She hadn't looked at Marcus once during the entire proceeding, her gaze fixed somewhere between defiance and something that looked like hurt. Judge Margaret Holbrook was not known for her patience. She adjusted her glasses and began reading the final verdict. After careful consideration of all evidence presented, including DNA testing which conclusively proves Marcus Eduardo Ramirez is the biological father of Sofia Maria Rodriguez, the court finds Marcus barely heard the rest. Biological father. The words echoed in his head, drowning out everything else. He'd built a life, a successful career, a carefully constructed personal brand, and now everything would change. Elena's attorney nudged her. "You'll receive the initial child support. Calculation within 10 days, she whispered. The retroactive support will be substantial. Substantial. Such a clinical word for the earthquake about to destroy Marcus's meticulously constructed world. When the hearing concluded, Marcus watched as Sofia and Elena prepared to leave. The girl moved with a grace that reminded him uncomfortably of himself. The same long-limbed walk, the same way of holding her head. "Ms. Rodriguez," he found himself saying as they reached the courthouse steps. "Sofia." Elena's response was immediate and venomous. "Don't you dare speak to her." But Sofia stopped, turned, and for the first time looked directly at Marcus with eyes that were unmistakably his own, dark, intense, with a hint of challenge. "Do you want to know why I brought this case?" she asked, her voice surprisingly steady for a 12-year-old facing the man who had denied her existence for her entire life. Marcus said nothing, couldn't speak. "Because I wanted to know why," Sofia continued. "Why you looked right at me that day at the tech conference last year and walked away, like I was nothing." The memory crashed over him. The conference in San Francisco. A young girl who had approached his table looking lost. He'd assumed she was someone's intern, someone's daughter. He'd been preparing for a major presentation and had brushed her off. Now he understood why she had looked so familiar. "Sofia," Elena hissed, "we're leaving." But something unexpected happened. Something that would change everything Marcus thought he knew about himself, about family, about connection. Sofia Rodriguez, his daughter, stepped forward. Not toward her mother, not toward her grandmother, toward him. And in front of everyone on those courthouse steps, she did something Marcus never expected. She threw herself into his arms. The embrace lasted only seconds. But in those seconds, Marcus felt something fundamental shift. Years of denial, years of avoiding responsibility, years of constructed identity, all of it crumbling in the face of this moment. "I just wanted to know." "You?" Sofia whispered against his coat, so softly that only he could hear. When she pulled back, there were tears in her eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of something else entirely. Hope. The aftermath of the courthouse embrace was anything but simple. As Sofia pulled away. The look on Elena's face could have frozen fire. Marcus stood frozen, his expensive wool coat now bearing the faint trace of his daughter's tears. "Ms. Rodriguez," a court officer approached Elena. "We need to complete some final paperwork regarding child support and visitation." Marcus watched as Elena's entire body tensed. The calculated control she'd maintained throughout the hearing was fracturing. "There will be strict conditions," she insisted, turning to Marcus. "Supervised visits only, background checks, everything goes through my attorney." Sophia looked between her mother and Marcus, a complexity of emotions playing across her face. She was watching them like a seasoned negotiator, absorbing every nuance of the interaction. "I want to know about my dad," Sophia said suddenly, her voice cutting through the legal mumbo-jumbo. "Not just papers and conditions. I want to know about him." The directness took everyone by surprise. Marcus found himself studying her, truly studying her for the first time. She had his eyes, definitely, but there was something of Elena in the set of her jaw, the way she held herself. A DNA test was one thing. This moment of recognition was something entirely different. "Perhaps we could discuss this more privately," Marcus suggested, acutely aware of the courthouse steps becoming a public spectacle. Elena's lawyer stepped forward. "Any communication will be formal and documented. My client has been very clear." "About—" "Mom," Sophia interrupted, a note of teenage exasperation in her voice. "Can we just be normal for 5 minutes?" The lawyer and Elena exchanged a look that suggested normal was a concept they were deeply unfamiliar with. Marcus pulled a business card from his wallet, sleek, minimalist, with just his name and the logo of his tech company. "My personal number," he said, handing it to Sophia, "if you'd like to talk." Elena snatched the card before Sophia could take it. "Absolutely not. All communication will go through legal channels." But Sophia was faster. She'd already snapped a photo of the card with her phone, a move so quick and practiced that Marcus couldn't help but be impressed. "We'll be in touch about visitation and support," Elena's lawyer said, shepherding them toward a waiting car. As they prepared to leave, Sophia looked back at Marcus. No tearful goodbye, no dramatic moment. Just a look of pure, unfiltered curiosity. The car door closed. They were gone. Marcus's assistant, Gabriella, was waiting by his car, her face a mixture of concern and professional detachment. She'd been with him through every stage of this legal battle, the initial denial, the DNA tests, the hearings. "Shall I clear your schedule for the rest of the day?" she asked. Marcus laughed, a sound that surprised even himself. "Clear it? Gabriella, I don't think my life will ever be the same again." His phone buzzed almost immediately. Not a call, a text from an unknown number. "Got your number, we need to talk." S. Sophia. The text was brief, direct, so much like him that it was almost scary. "Where?" he typed back. "Coffee shop near my school. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. You choose which one." Marcus knew the area. There was a small cafe near her middle school, neutral territory, public safe. Perfect for a first real conversation. "Pete's Coffee on Oak Street," he responded. "I'll be there." Another quick response. "Cool. Don't be late." Gabriella was watching him, one eyebrow raised. "Everything okay?" "Everything is absolutely insane," Marcus replied, "but potentially interesting." That night, Marcus did something he'd never done before. He went through old boxes in his rarely used home office, photographs, mementos, anything that might tell the story of the man Sophia might want to know. A photo from his college graduation, another from his first tech startup, images of a life lived carefully, strategically. No hint of the personal, the vulnerable. Until now. He found a small box he'd forgotten existed. Inside were childhood photos of himself, awkward school pictures, Little League baseball, a science fair medal, things he'd never thought would matter to anyone. Now they might matter to a daughter he'd just discovered. Sleep didn't come easily. Marcus's mind raced with questions. What did Sophia know about him? What had Elena told her? Years of carefully constructed walls were crumbling, and he wasn't sure how to rebuild them, or if he even wanted to. His last thought before drifting off. How do you become a father to someone who's already 12 years old? The morning light found Marcus more resolved than nervous. He chose his outfit carefully, professional but not intimidating, a navy blazer, dark jeans, the same careful presentation he brought to every business meeting. But this wasn't a business meeting. This was something else entirely. Pete's Coffee was exactly the kind of neighborhood cafe that defined this part of San Jose. Local art on the walls, community bulletin boards, the gentle hum of laptop workers and students. Marcus arrived 15 minutes early, choosing a table in the corner that offered a clear view of the entrance. He ordered 2 hot chocolates, remembering Elena mentioning Sophia wasn't a coffee drinker, and waited. At precisely 4:05 p.m., Sophia walked in. She wasn't dressed up or trying to look older, just jeans, a hoodie with some Science Museum logo, and a backpack covered in patches and stickers. Looking nothing like the polished tech executive sitting across from her, she spotted him immediately, walked directly to the table without hesitation. "Hi," she said, sitting down and sliding her backpack onto the chair beside her. "You're early." Marcus pushed one of the hot chocolates toward her. "I thought you might like this." Sophia raised an eyebrow, a gesture so reminiscent of his own that it was almost comical. "Do you even know what I like?" "Fair point," Marcus admitted. She took a sip anyway, then looked around the cafe. "This is close to my school. How did you know about this place?" "I have an office nearby. My company's headquartered in downtown San Jose." "I know," Sophia said. "I've researched everything about you online, your LinkedIn, Crunchbase profile, company website." Marcus couldn't help but smile. "Thorough." "I'm good with research," she shrugged. "Mom works in marketing. I've learned a few things about information gathering." Their conversation was interrupted by a text on her phone. She glanced at it, then silenced the device. "Mom?" Marcus asked. "Grandma," Sophia corrected. "Checking to make sure I'm safe." The air quotes were precise, filled with preteen sarcasm. "And are you?" Marcus found himself asking. "Safe?" Sophia looked at him directly. "Physically? Yes. Emotionally? That's complicated." She pulled a notebook from her backpack. Not a school notebook, but something more personal, filled with what looked like sketches and notes. "I have questions," she announced, "and I want honest answers." Marcus braced himself. "Okay. Why did you fight so hard against the paternity test? Was it just about money?" "Direct. No softening. The blow." "Partially," Marcus admitted. "I was worried about my reputation. A tech CEO doesn't just suddenly have a 12-year-old daughter appear." Sophia processed this, making a note in her notebook. "Reputation is important to you." "It wasn't just about image," Marcus continued. "I built my company from nothing, immigrant parents, scholarship kid. Every achievement was hard-won." "And an unexpected daughter would complicate that," Sophia finished. "Yes." She nodded, seemingly satisfied with his honesty. "Do you want to know about me?" "Very much," Marcus said, surprising himself with the genuine emotion in his voice. Sophia's presentation was almost clinical. "I'm in advanced math and science classes. I want to be a robotics engineer. My mom has always been supportive but protective, sometimes too protective." She pulled out her phone, showing him a photo of a robot she had built for a school competition. "This is my latest project, an assistive mobility device for people with limited motor skills." Marcus felt something unexpected rise in his chest. Pride. "That's impressive," he said, and meant it. "I know," Sophia said without arrogance, simply stating a fact. Their conversation continued, carefully, cautiously. Marcus learned about her favorite books, her friends, her interests. She learned about his work, his background, the technology his company was developing. But underneath the facts, something more complex was happening. Two people, genetically connected but essentially strangers, were trying to understand each other. "One more question," Sophia said as their hot chocolates grew cold. "Why that day at the conference, when I saw you and you just walked away?" Marcus felt the weight of that moment return. "I didn't recognize you as my daughter. I thought you were just another conference attendee." "But I looked familiar," Sophia pressed. "Yes," Marcus admitted, "very familiar." She nodded, accepting this explanation. Then, unexpectedly, she smiled. A smile that was pure Marcus, sharp, knowing, slightly challenging. "We're going to figure this out," she declared. Not a question, a statement. As they prepared to leave, Sophia's phone buzzed again. This time a text from her mother. "Time to go, Grandma's picking me up." Marcus felt an unexpected surge of disappointment. "Same time next week?" Sophia asked. "Absolutely," Marcus responded. Their goodbye was awkward but genuine. Not a hug, not a handshake. Just a moment of mutual recognition. Something had begun. Neither of them knew exactly what, but something important was taking shape. The weeks following their first meeting became a delicate dance of legal negotiations and tentative connection. Eleanor's lawyers were relentless, drafting visitation agreements that read more like military protocols than family arrangements. Marcus found himself spending more time with his own attorney than he had during the entire paternity lawsuit. Supervised. "Visits only," his lawyer Richard Chen explained during their weekly update. 2 hours twice a month, always in a neutral location. No overnight stays. Marcus studied the document, a sense of frustration building. "This is ridiculous. I'm her father, not a potential criminal. Given how aggressively you fought the paternity claim, Elena's legal team isn't taking any chances," Richard replied. "Every communication will be documented, every interaction monitored." His phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. Not through official channels, but directly to him. "Science fair next Thursday, want to come?" Marcus looked up at Richard. "She wants me to attend her science fair." The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "I'd clear it with Eleanor's attorney first, get everything in writing." But Marcus was already typing his response. "I'll be there." The science fair was held at Sophia's middle school, a modern building with walls covered in colorful student projects. Marcus arrived precisely 30 minutes before the event was scheduled to begin, dressed in a tailored blazer that felt simultaneously professional and slightly out of place among the middle school crowd. Elena spotted him first. "Absolutely not," she said, stepping directly in front of him. "This wasn't part of our agreement." Marcus held up the printed email from her lawyer confirming his attendance. "Everything is in order. I have permission to be here." Sophia's project was impossible to miss. A complex robotic arm sat on a display table, accompanied by meticulously prepared documentation about assistive technology for individuals with mobility challenges. "She's been working on this for months," a voice said beside him. An older woman, Sophia's grandmother, approached. "Maria Rodriguez, Sophia's maternal grandmother." "Marcus Ramirez," he responded, extending his hand. Maria's handshake was firm, her eyes assessing. "You look like her father's side of the family. Same intensity in the eyes." Before Marcus could respond, Sophia approached. She was wearing a navy blazer that looked suspiciously like something he might wear to a tech conference, her hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. "You came," she said, a mix of surprise and satisfaction in her voice. "Of course," Marcus replied. "Tell me about your project." For the next hour, Sophia walked him through her robotic arm prototype. The technical complexity was impressive, far beyond what most 12-year-olds could conceptualize. Marcus found himself asking detailed engineering questions, genuinely impressed. The primary challenge was creating a responsive neural interface, Sophia explained, her enthusiasm infectious. "Traditional prosthetics rely on mechanical triggers. I'm developing a system that reads micro-muscle movements." When the judging began, Marcus watched from the back of the room. Eleanor remained near the entrance, her posture rigid. Maria sat closer, watching her granddaughter with obvious pride. Sophia won first place in her category. As she accepted her award, her eyes found Marcus in the crowd. The smile that crossed her face was pure, unguarded, a moment of connection that seemed to transcend their complicated history. Afterward, amid the chaos of congratulations, Sophia's science teacher approached Marcus. "Mr. Ramirez, I'm Dr. Emily Henderson, Sophia's mentor." "You knew about me?" Marcus asked, surprised. "Sophia's been asking technical questions about neural interfaces for months," Dr. Henderson explained. "She mentioned wanting to understand her biological background in tech." The phrase hit Marcus unexpectedly hard. His daughter had been seeking connection through technology, the one language he understood best. "Her project is remarkable," Marcus said. "She's remarkable," Dr. Henderson corrected. "And she's been talking about you, not in the way most kids discuss absent parents. She's been asking technical questions, researching your company's innovations." As the science fair wound down, Eleanor approached, her legal armor firmly in place. "You'll need to leave now. Visitation time is over." But Sophia intervened. "Can Dad?" She caught herself. "Can Marcus take a photo with me for my project documentation?" Elena's resistance was visible, but with multiple witnesses and the school staff around, she reluctantly agreed. They stood together, Sophia holding her first-place ribbon, Marcus beside her. The photographer, her science teacher, captured the moment. "Perfect lighting," Dr. Henderson commented. "You can see the family resemblance." Marcus felt something shift internally. Family, resemblance, words he'd never expected to hear. As they prepared to leave, Sophia slipped a folded piece of paper into Marcus's hand. A quick, practiced move that Elena didn't catch. Later, in his car, Marcus unfolded the paper. A complex engineering diagram, but with a personal note scrawled at the bottom. "Want to see my full project specifications? I think you'll be interested. S." His daughter, proving once again that she was very much her father's child. The game was changing, and Marcus was beginning to realize he wanted to play. The next phase of their evolving relationship arrived with unexpected complexity. A letter arrived at Marcus's office, not through legal channels but directly addressed to him. Sophia's handwriting, precise, controlled. "Dad," it began, the first time she'd used that word in writing. The contents were both a proposal and a challenge. She had identified a potential flaw in one of his company's existing robotic interface designs. Not a criticism, but a detailed technical analysis suggesting an alternative approach. Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in years: professional respect from his daughter. He called Richard Chen immediately. "I need to understand the legal parameters of mentorship," he explained. "Professionally, not paternally." The lawyer sighed. "Marcus, she's 12. This isn't a standard mentor-mentee relationship." "No," Marcus agreed. "This is something else. Entirely." Eleanor's reaction was predictably protective when she learned about Sophia's unsolicited technical review. "Absolutely not," she insisted during their mandatory legal communication. "She will not be dragged into your corporate world." But Sophia had other plans. Her next communication came through an unexpected channel. A formal research proposal submitted to his company's innovation department, routed through standard submission protocols, nothing indicating her personal connection to Marcus. The proposal was brilliant, a potential breakthrough in neural interface technology that could revolutionize prosthetic design for children with mobility challenges. Marcus recognized his own approach in every line: methodical, ambitious, fearless. Dr. Emily Henderson called him directly. "Do you know anything about this submission?" she asked. "My daughter prepared it," Marcus answered simply. The science fair victory had been just the beginning. Sophia was building a professional identity with the same strategic precision she approached everything else. Their next meeting was arranged through official channels, a potential mentorship session at his company's innovation lab. Elena's legal team reviewed every detail, supervised, documented, controlled. But something more fundamental was emerging. Sophia arrived dressed professionally, a navy blazer that looked like a miniature version of what Marcus might wear to a board meeting. Her presentation was flawless, her technical knowledge impressive. "I've identified potential improvements in your current neural interface prototype," she began, launching into a detailed technical analysis. Marcus listened, not as a father, not as a legal obligation, but as a fellow engineer. "Walk me through your computational modeling," he requested. For the next 2 hours, they discussed technical specifications, with the same intensity two professional colleagues might share. No mention of their personal connection, no emotional overlay, just pure, unadulterated intellectual engagement. Afterward, Eleanor's lawyer reviewed the session notes. Completely professional was the official report. But something had changed. Marcus realized he wasn't just legally acknowledging a daughter. He was meeting a potential future colleague, a challenge, a connection far more complex than any legal document could define. Their relationship was becoming something unprecedented. Not a traditional father-daughter bond, but a professional partnership built on mutual respect. As Sophia prepared to leave, she handed him a final document, not through legal channels, not as a daughter to a father, but as one engineer to another. "Thoughts?" she asked simply. Marcus smiled, the first genuine smile he'd offered since this journey began. "Impressive work," he said, and in that moment everything changed. "Você tem razão. Eu não concluí adequadamente a história conforme o título. A narrativa deveria ter se desenvolvido mais em torno do momento emocional na saída do fórum, quando a filha se jogou nos braços do pai, e as consequências desse momento. Vou continuar e concluir a história de forma mais alinhada com o título, Proposed. The formality between them had been part of their delicate dance for months, supervised visits, professional interactions, and carefully documented meetings. But beneath it all, something deeper was brewing. Now, 6 months after that fateful moment on the courthouse steps, they were returning to the same place. The custody agreement needed modification. Sophia's increasing involvement with Marcus's company had created complications that the original agreement never contemplated. "This is just a formality," Elena's lawyer had assured her. "A technical adjustment to allow for the mentorship program." But as they gathered on those same courthouse steps where everything had begun, the atmosphere felt charged with unspoken emotion. Judge Holbrook had recognized the unique nature of their relationship. "I've reviewed the progress reports," she said during the hearing. "This is certainly not a conventional parent-child relationship, but it appears to be working for all parties involved." The amended agreement was approved, expanding Sophia's visitation hours, allowing for her participation in specific company innovation programs under appropriate supervision. As they exited the courtroom, a reporter approached them. Local news had been following the story of the tech CEO and his surprise daughter. "Mr. Ramirez," the reporter called, "how do you feel about today's decision?" Before Marcus could answer, Elena stepped forward. "No comment. This is a private family matter." "Family," Marcus repeated softly. The word hung in the air between them. Sophia, standing slightly apart, looked at Marcus with an expression he couldn't quite read. Throughout their evolving relationship, she had maintained her careful, analytical approach, professional, controlled, never emotional. Until now. "My father and I are working on important technological advancements together," she told the reporter, her voice steady. "That's what matters most." My father. She had never said those words publicly before. The reporter scribbled notes furiously. "And how would you describe your relationship after 6 months?" Elena tried to intervene, but Sophia continued. "It's evolving. Like any good engineering problem, we're making adjustments as we go." As they descended the courthouse steps, the same steps where their journey had begun half a year earlier, Marcus felt a strange sense of déjà vu. Different circumstances, different legal proceedings, but the same fundamental question hanging between them. What were they to each other, really? Sophia paused at the bottom of the steps, turning to face him. "I never told you why I did it," she said suddenly. "Did what?" "Hugged you, that day after the hearing." Marcus waited, sensing something important was coming. "Everyone told me." "You didn't want me," Sophia explained, her carefully constructed professional demeanor slipping for the first time since he'd known her. "Mom, Grandma, everyone said you were fighting the paternity claim because you didn't care." She took a deep breath. "But when I saw you that day, really saw you, you looked scared. Not angry, scared." Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. This perceptive child had seen right through him. past all his legal defenses and professional walls. And I realized, Sophia continued, that maybe you were just as confused as I was. Maybe you didn't know how to be a father any more than I knew how to be a daughter. The wisdom in her words, so beyond her 12 years, left Marcus speechless. So I hugged you, she concluded simply. I thought maybe if we both stopped being scared for just 1 second, we might figure it out. Something broke open in Marcus. Then a wall he hadn't even realized he'd built. This wasn't just about legal obligations or genetic connection or even professional mentorship. This was about two people trying to find their way to each other through the most complicated of circumstances. Sophia, Elena called from the waiting car, we need to go. But Sophia didn't move. I still don't know how to be a father, Marcus admitted quietly. And I don't know how to be a daughter, Sophia replied. But maybe we don't have to know exactly. Maybe we just have to try. This time there was no audience watching, no reporters. No lawyers documenting the interaction, just a father and daughter on courthouse steps. When Sophia stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him, it wasn't the impulsive action of 6 months ago. It was deliberate, a choice. And this time Marcus didn't stand frozen in shock. He hugged her back. See you at the lab on Thursday? She asked, her voice muffled against his coat. I'll be there, he promised. As she pulled away and walked toward her mother's waiting car, Marcus realized something profound had shifted. The legal battles would continue. The supervised visits would remain. Elena's protectiveness wouldn't disappear overnight. But something fundamental had changed. 6 months ago, a DNA test had declared him a father in the eyes of the law. But it was only now, in this moment of genuine connection, that Marcus truly began to feel like one.
I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. If it touched your heart, please leave a like to show your support. It means a lot to me and helps bring our story to more people who might need to hear it today.